Who doesn't love traveling by air? Many of us must have dreamed of sitting in a flight. But imagine if this very journey decides the distance between life and death. There is an airport in the capital of Honduras where, to land, the plane has to pass between two formidable mountains. That too with a 45-degree turn, meaning a pilot's slight mistake can become the cause of her death. Not only this, there's also an airport whose runway is only 400 meters long, and ahead of it is a deep abyss. In other words, if the pilot shows even a bit of negligence, the plane will fall into the abyss. And this is just a small trailer. There are many airports where accidents happen every day, about which if someone finds out, they would hardly ever want to fly from there. Today in this video, we're going to talk about 7 such most dangerous airports. So definitely watch the video until the end without skipping. Paro Airport, Bhutan. This is an airport where out of thousands of pilots worldwide, only 8 pilots have official permission to land. Hidden among the calm and mysterious mountains of Bhutan, this airport is as deadly as it looks beautiful. This airport is located at an altitude of about 7,300 feet above sea level and is surrounded by snow-capped Himalayan peaks. The runway here is only 6,500 feet long, meaning a slight mistake and the aircraft can plunge straight into a deep gorge. A bit of fog, a slight change in wind direction, and the entire plane can collide with the mountains in an instant because there is no room for error here. One wrong step and the way to survive is gone. Looking at Paro Airport, it feels as if this is not a runway, but the boundary of the Valley of Death, where every landing is a gamble with fate and every takeoff is a prayer that the aircraft returns safely again. But still, dozens of planes land here every day, and yet passengers have no idea how close they have passed death. Tenzing Hillary Airport, Nepal. People call this airport the doorway to death. Tenzing Hillary Airport, also known as Lukla Airport, is at an altitude of about 9,300 feet above sea level and is surrounded only by mountains, valleys, and abysses. This is the same path from where travelers begin their journey to Mount Everest. The length of its runway is only 527 meters. One end of the runway ends a mountain slope and the other end falls into a deep abyss. This means if the plane lands even slightly too fast, it can collide straight into the mountain, and if it is slow, it can sink into the deep valley below. The weather here also changes every moment. Sometimes a clear sky, and the very next moment dense fog. Along with this, strong winds and rain can make every mistake of the pilot fatal. This is the reason why only highly experienced pilots are allowed to fly aircraft here. Kai Tak Airport, Hong Kong ***. This airport was not in some desolate mountains, but right in the middle of a busy city like Hong Kong, which pilots worldwide still call the heart-stopping runway. This airport was built in 1925 and continued to operate until 1998, but in these years, it stopped the breath of thousands of pilots because landing here was no less than a mission. There were tall buildings around the runway, and one had to land right at the edge of the sea. The pilot had to take an extremely dangerous 47-degree sharp turn in the final few seconds, which was called the Hong Kong turn. During this turn, the aircraft would be flying 600 feet above the ground. Houses, people, and eyes peeking through windows were visible below. It felt as if the plane would collide with a building at any moment. A slight mistake meant a very big accident. This was the reason why many accidents occurred here, and many times planes were forced to take off again at the last moments. Pilots used to say, if you have landed at Kai Tak, you can land anywhere in the world. Although this airport is now closed, the name still makes pilots' heartbeats race. Makane Airstrip, Lesotho. Imagine a runway that ends at the peak of a mountain, and beyond it, there is only an abyss. This is Lesotho's Makane Airstrip, which is counted among the world's most dangerous airports. This runway is quite short, meaning for a large airplane, it is like a small playground. And and ahead of the runway is a valley hundreds of feet deep. If the pilot keeps the speed even slightly low, or there's a slight mistake in timing, the plane will fall straight into the abyss. This airstrip is built in Lesotho, a small mountainous country in Africa, where the weather is often misty and the wind is very strong. The pilot feels as if he's jumping into the sky while taking off from the runway, because immediately after takeoff, a deep abyss is visible below. Only small charter planes and medical emergency flights come here, and those too are flown by very experienced pilots. It is almost impossible for average pilots to land here. Many times pilots have to run the engine at full power during takeoff so that the aircraft can catch enough altitude before falling into the valley. Meycane Airstrip is not just an airstrip, but a confluence of adventure and danger, where every flight passes through the mouth of death. This is why it is called the world's most terrifying and dangerous airstrip. Hwancho Erascan Airport, Caribbean. Hwancho Erascan Airport is one of the few places where every landing is both a risk and an adventure. To fly here, you don't just need a ticket, you need courage. If you think landing on a short runway is easy, think again, because this is one of the shortest and most dangerous airports in the world. This airport is located on Saba Island, which is a small volcanic island in the Caribbean Sea. The runway here is only 400 meters long, meaning for a large aircraft, this is not a runway, but a death trap. At both ends of the runway are steep cliffs and deep sea below. If the landing or takeoff goes even slightly wrong, the plane can fall straight into the sea. Only small STOL, short takeoff and landing, aircraft can land here, that too under the control of very experienced pilots. Common airlines are not allowed to fly here because even a slight gust of wind can blow the aircraft off the runway. Strong sea winds, a cramped runway, and steep cliffs all around. All these together make this airport a terrifying experience. Passengers have said that when the plane lands on the runway, it feels as if it is going to hit the water the next moment. Courchevel Airport, France, ***. This airport is exactly like a scene from a movie. Snow-capped mountains, clouds all around, and a small runway in the middle that is tilted upwards. This is Courchevel Airport, which is counted among the most dangerous airports in the world. Its runway is only 537 meters long, which is not at all sufficient for large aircraft. But the real fear starts from its 18.5-degree slope. This means the runway is not straight, but climbing upwards. During takeoff and landing, the pilot has to use this slope correctly, otherwise the aircraft can fall into a snowy abyss. This airport is built near the Courchevel Ski Resort, which is a favorite place for wealthy travelers and tourists. But the journey to reach here is a heart-wrenching experience. Strong icy winds, low visibility, and a sheer drop at the edge of the runway make every flight a game of risk. This airport was also shown in the James Bond film Tomorrow Never Dies, and that scene is just as terrifying as reality. Landing at Courchevel Airport means fighting death every second. There is no room for error here, because one wrong step and below there is only snow, abyss, and death. Toncontín Airport, Honduras. If we talk about the world's most dangerous airports, and Toncontín Airport's name doesn't come up, the list will be considered incomplete. Located in Tegucigalpa, the capital of Honduras, this airport is known for its terrifying approach and paths with sharp turns. The fear of this airport starts with its location. It is situated in a valley surrounded by mountains. To reach the runway, the pilot has to pass between mountains while taking a sharp 45-degree turn to descend. A slight mistake here means colliding straight into a mountain. The runway is only 2,163 meters long, which is very short, especially for large jet aircraft. But still, planes like the Boeing 737 land here regularly. At the time of landing, the plane has to be brought down at such a high speed that the hearts of the passengers start thumping with fear. Weather is also an enemy of this airport. Sudden strong winds and mist make the flight even more difficult. Many times at the end of the runway, the aircraft has to be braked immediately, otherwise it can slide onto the road. And right ahead of the runway are city roads and houses. In 2008, a major accident happened here when an Airbus A320 slid off the runway and fell onto the road, in which many people lost their lives. Pilots say Tonkin Airport is an airport where every takeoff and every landing is a survival mission, a gamble with life. This is the reason why it is kept at the top among the world's most terrifying and dangerous airports. So friends, these are the 7 most dangerous airports in the world from where hardly anyone would want to travel. Which of these did you find the most dangerous? Do tell in the comment box. Take care of yourself until we meet in the next video. Bye-bye.